The departure. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Federation stretched across 3 kilometers of polished crystal and floating platforms. 50 different species gathered in their designated sectors, their forms ranging from the gaseous luminary to the towering rock-like bastion. At the center podium stood Ambassador Sarah Chen, the last human representative to address this council. She looked small compared to the alien delegates surrounding her. Her simple gray uniform contrasted sharply with their elaborate ceremonial attire. But her eyes held something that made even the most arrogant council members pause. Not anger. Not sadness. Just a quiet certainty that made the vast chamber feel suddenly fragile. 400 years ago, Sarah began, her voice carried by translation nodes to every species present, humanity received an invitation to join the Galactic Federation. We were told we would be partners. Equals. Contributors to a grand civilization spanning the stars. Chancellor Tharn of the Valerian Empire shifted in his seat. His 6 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture of impatience among his kind. Sarah continued without acknowledging him. We believed that promise. We sent our best and brightest. Our engineers built your stations. Our doctors cured your plagues. Our soldiers defended your borders. Our teachers educated your children. For 4 centuries, humans have served the Federation with everything we had. Yes, yes, Tharn interrupted, his translator rendering his clicks and whistles into flat galactic standard. And you were compensated fairly for your services. What is the purpose of this address, Ambassador? Some of us have important matters to attend to. Sarah smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. The purpose, Chancellor, is to inform you that effective immediately, all human personnel are withdrawing from Federation space. Every engineer. Every doctor. Every teacher. Every soldier. Every single human will return to Earth within 6 months. The chamber erupted. 50 species began talking at once, their voices creating a cacophony that the translation systems struggled to process. Some laughed. Others expressed relief. A few voices raised concerns, but they were drowned in the noise. Admiral Kesvier of the Crithian hegemony's booming voice cut through the chaos. This is wonderful news. Finally, we will not have to endure human emotional outbursts during critical decisions. Their primitive thinking has held us back long enough. Sarah waited for the noise to subside. When she spoke again, her voice was quieter but somehow carried more weight. You will discover what we were worth. Goodbye, Chancellor. Goodbye, Admiral. Goodbye to all of you. She turned and walked toward the exit. Behind her, the celebration had already begun. Far across the galaxy, on the massive Titan Forge shipyards orbiting the blue giant star Helios Prime, engineer Marcus Webb received the message on his personal comm device. He read it twice, then looked out at the construction bay where he had spent the last 15 years. The shipyard was enormous. Hundreds of vessels in various stages of completion floated in anti-gravity fields. Mechanical arms the size of buildings moved with precision, welding, assembling, and installing systems. Marcus had designed 70% of those systems. The other 30% he had improved from older alien designs. His assistant, a young Valerian named Kretch, noticed his expression. Engineer Webb? Is something wrong? Marcus began packing his tools into his personal storage container. I'm going home, Kretch. We all are. Home? But the Type 7 Dreadnought production line is about to go online. You spent 3 years developing that system. Who will oversee its activation? You will. You watched me build it. Kretch's 6 eyes widened in alarm. But I do not understand all the subsystems. The power distribution algorithms alone are beyond my comprehension. The neural network that coordinates the assembly process, I have no idea how it functions. Marcus sealed his container and lifted it onto his shoulder. Then I suggest you start learning quickly. You have 6 months. 6 months? Engineer Webb, it took you 8 years to build these systems. Marcus paused at the door and looked back at the alien who had worked beside him for a decade. Kretch, I tried to teach you. I offered to train you properly. Do you remember what you said? Kretch lowered his head. I said that human methods were too inefficient for a Valerian mind to waste time learning. You did. Marcus's voice was not unkind, but it was firm. Now you'll learn the hard way. Good luck. On Medical Station Sanctuary hovering above the plague world of Thesha Prime, Dr. Amara Okonkwo was finishing her shift. She had been awake for 36 hours straight, coordinating the response to a viral outbreak that threatened to kill millions. The breakthrough had come 18 hours ago when she identified the mutation pattern and developed a treatment protocol. The station's medical director, a luminary named Bright Thought Ascending, floated into her office. Its gaseous form pulsed with colors that the translator interpreted as distress. Dr. Okonkwo, we have received disturbing news. You are leaving? Amara packed her research notes into secure data crystals. All humans are leaving, Director. Orders from Earth. But the Theshan outbreak. Your treatment protocol is working, but the virus is still mutating. We need your expertise to stay ahead of it. You have my notes. You have the treatment procedures. Your staff watched me work through the entire process. The luminary's colors shifted to deep purple, indicating confusion. Watched, yes. But understood? Dr. Okonkwo, your intuitive leaps in viral analysis are beyond our comprehension. You see patterns where we see only data. How did you know the virus would mutate in that specific sequence? Amara stood and faced the alien who had been her supervisor for 12 years. I explained my methodology in every case report I filed. Did you read them? The colors shifted again, this time to a shade that meant embarrassment. We read the conclusions. The method seemed too imprecise. Too reliant on what you call hunches. Those hunches saved 6 million lives last year alone. Amara picked up her bags. I hope you figure out how to develop some of your own. At the edge of Federation space, on Forward Base Sentinel, Captain James Torres gathered his military advisors. They were a mixed group, 47 humans who had spent decades training alien defense forces, developing tactical protocols, and coordinating border security. The base commander, a massive bastion named Granite that Endures, stood before them like a living mountain. Captain Torres, your recall order is most inconvenient. The Crithian Empire has been testing our borders. They probe our defenses weekly. Your tactical insights have been crucial in deterring their aggression. James Torres was a compact man with gray hair and scars that told stories of battles across a dozen worlds. Commander, we've trained your forces well. They know the defensive strategies. They know the strategies you taught them. But you adapt them constantly based on enemy behavior. You predict their moves before they make them. How do you do this? Torres smiled grimly. Experience. Intuition. The ability to think like an enemy who doesn't think like you do. I tried to teach your officers these skills. And they learned the tactics. But not the thinking behind them. There is something in how humans process warfare that we cannot replicate. You see possibilities where we see only probabilities. Then you'll learn by necessity, Commander. War is an excellent teacher. The Exodus happened faster than anyone expected. Human ships appeared at every major Federation station, colony, and outpost. They came with precision and efficiency, loading personnel and personal belongings, leaving behind everything that belonged to the Federation. On the Valerian homeworld, millions watched as human teachers left schools that had educated alien children for generations. On Thesha Prime, hospitals suddenly found themselves without half their staff. Across 1,000 worlds, maintenance crews, engineers, artists, farmers, and diplomats boarded transports heading for Sol System. The Federation celebrated. On every major world, Liberation Day became an impromptu holiday. Streets filled with revelers. Politicians gave speeches about a new age of pure Federation advancement, unencumbered by human limitations. Chancellor Tharn addressed a crowd of millions on Valor Prime. Today marks a turning point in Federation history. For too long, we have accommodated human emotional instability. We have tolerated their inefficient methods. We have listened to their illogical advice. No more. We are free to pursue excellence using our own superior capabilities. The crowd roared approval. In a quiet government building on Earth, Sarah Chen watched the celebration through intercepted broadcasts. Beside her stood Admiral Richard Cross, commander of Earth's Defense Fleet, and President Michael Okafor, leader of the United Earth Government. They seem happy, Okafor observed quietly. They are, Sarah agreed. They don't understand yet. Admiral Cross pulled up a holographic display showing Federation space. How long do you think it will take? Sarah considered the question carefully. She thought about the thousands of systems humans had built, maintained, and improved over 4 centuries. She thought about the medical protocols, the defense networks, the trade algorithms, the educational programs. She thought about 400 years of human fingerprints on every aspect of Federation civilization. 3 months, she said finally. Maybe less. The small things will fail first. Systems that needed constant maintenance. Then the bigger failures will cascade. And when they come asking for help? President Okafor asked. Sarah's expression was unreadable. Then we'll see if they've learned anything. The last human transport left Federation space exactly 6 months after Sarah's address to the Grand Assembly. It jumped to hyperspace, leaving behind a civilization that had grown comfortable with human competence, human sacrifice, and human ingenuity while never acknowledging any of it. In the Grand Assembly Hall, Chancellor Tharn raised a ceremonial glass. To the future. To Federation excellence. To progress unencumbered. The alien delegates cheered and drank. None of them noticed the small fluctuation in the station's power grid. None of them heard the brief static in the communication network. None of them saw the minor error in the navigation system's calculations. The cracks were already forming. They were just too small to see yet. But they would grow. They would grow very quickly. The reckoning. 3 months after the last human left Federation space, Chancellor Tharn sat in his office reviewing reports that made no sense. Power consumption across Valor Prime had increased by 40%, yet output remained the same. Efficiency was plummeting. Engineers assured him everything was functioning normally, but the numbers told a different story. He dismissed it as a temporary anomaly. The Federation had endured for thousands of years before humans arrived. They would adapt to their absence. He was wrong. The first major failure occurred on Titan Forge shipyards. Engineer Kretsch stood in the main control center, watching in horror as the Type 7 Dreadnought production line tore itself apart. Mechanical arms moved in sequences that made no sense, welding parts that should never be joined, installing systems backwards, creating catastrophic failures that cascaded through the entire assembly process. "Shut it down!" Kretsch shouted. "Emergency shutdown protocol." Nothing happened. The system continued its destructive dance. A senior Valerian engineer named Veltek rushed to the manual override controls. "The shutdown command is not responding. The system is locked in its sequence." "Then cut the power." "We cannot. The power distribution network is integrated with life support. If we cut power to the production line, we kill everyone on the station." Kretsch felt his 3 hearts racing in panic. Marcus Webb had warned him. The human engineer had tried to explain the intricate safeguards built into every system, the careful balance of dependencies that made the shipyard both incredibly efficient and incredibly complex. Kretsch had not listened. He had thought it was human overcomplications. Now he understood. It was not overcomplicated. It was sophisticated. And without understanding that sophistication, they were helpless. The production line destroyed itself over 6 hours. When it finally ground to a halt, 3 years of construction work lay in ruins. Worse, the control systems were so damaged that no one knew how to restart them. Marcus Webb's carefully documented procedures might as well have been written in an alien language. The Valerian engineers could read the words, but they did not understand the thinking behind them. Titan Forge was not alone. Across Federation space, systems began failing in ways that seemed almost malicious in their timing. On Medical Station Sanctuary, Dr. Brightthought Ascending faced a crisis that made the Thesian outbreak look manageable. The virus had mutated exactly as Dr. Okonkwo had predicted it would. Her notes contained the treatment protocol for this mutation. The problem was that the Luminary medical staff could not replicate her synthesis process. The molecular bonds should form at this temperature, one researcher insisted, displaying their calculations. Dr. Okonkwo's notes indicate this exact procedure. Then why is it not working? Brightthought Ascending's colors flashed with frustration. Unknown. Perhaps the notes are incomplete? They were not incomplete. They were perfectly detailed. But Amara Okonkwo had possessed something the Luminari lacked. She understood not just the chemistry but the art of it. She knew when to deviate from the formula based on subtle environmental factors. She felt the reactions in ways that could not be captured in notes. The Luminari followed her procedures exactly and produced nothing but useless compounds. The death toll on Thesha Prime began climbing again. At Forward Base Sentinel, Commander Granite That Endures watched his tactical displays with growing alarm. The Crithian Empire was no longer testing their defenses. They were attacking them. "They are using a new formation," his tactical officer reported. "Our defense protocols do not account for this approach vector." "Then adapt the protocols." "Adapt them how, Commander?" Captain Torres created response strategies for 87 different attack patterns. "This is pattern 88. We have no counter." Granite That Endures felt something he had rarely experienced in his 3-century lifespan. Fear. The humans had not just taught tactics. They had taught tactical thinking. The ability to see an enemy's intent before they revealed it. The capacity to imagine what came next instead of simply reacting to what was happening now. The Bastion defense forces fought bravely. They followed their training perfectly. But perfect execution of inadequate strategy was still defeat. Forward Base Sentinel fell within 48 hours. The Grand Assembly met in emergency session. The celebration of 3 months ago felt like a distant memory. Now the chamber buzzed with barely controlled panic. "The Titan Forge shipyards are offline," reported the Valerian representative. "We cannot produce new vessels. Our fleet strength is locked at current levels." Thesha Prime's death toll has exceeded 2 million, the Luminari delegate's colors pulsed with grief. "The plague is spreading to neighboring systems. We cannot synthesize the cure." The Crythian Empire has seized 6 border systems, Admiral HFY admitted, her pride clearly wounded. They advance faster than we can respond. Our tactical projections show continued losses. Chancellor Tharn listened to report after report. Infrastructure failures. Economic collapse. Communication breakdowns. Medical crises. Military defeats. Every single problem traced back to the same cause. The absence of humans. How did this happen? He demanded. We are advanced civilizations. We built this federation thousands of years before humans even achieved spaceflight. How can we be crippled by the loss of one species? Silence answered him. Then a quiet voice spoke from the historical archives section. Because they were never just one species among 50, said Veldar, a Valerian historian who had spent the last 3 months researching something that troubled him. May I present my findings to the assembly? Tharn gestured impatiently. Proceed. Veldar activated a massive holographic display. It showed Federation space with millions of data points highlighted in different colors. These are human contributions to Federation infrastructure over the past 400 years. Blue indicates engineering projects. Green indicates medical advances. Red indicates diplomatic resolutions. Yellow indicates educational programs. Purple indicates military training and defense improvements. The hologram lit up like a star cluster. Every color blazed from thousands of points across Federation space. It was impossible to find any major system, station, or world that did not have multiple human touchpoints. This cannot be accurate, Tharn protested. You are suggesting humans were involved in virtually everything. Not involved, Chancellor. Foundational. Veldar expanded the display. Let me show you the Titan Forge shipyards. Original design by Valerian engineers 200 years ago. Output capacity rated at 6 vessels per year. The schematic appeared. Then 73 years ago, humans were invited to optimize the process. The schematic transformed. New systems appeared in blue, weaving through the original structure like a circulatory system. Output increased to 40 vessels per year, Veldar continued. But look closely at these systems. They are not additions. They are integrations. The humans did not simply improve our design. They fundamentally rewrote how the shipyard functions. Remove the human components, and the entire structure becomes non-functional. This is not sabotage. This is simply superior design that requires understanding to maintain. He brought up medical records next. Dr. Amara Okonkwo published 743 research papers during her time on Medical Station Sanctuary. Her colleagues published 400 papers that cited her work as foundational. But here is what troubles me. He highlighted sections of the papers. Her colleagues understood her conclusions. They could replicate her experiments. But they never understood her methodology. She saw patterns in viral behavior that no luminary researcher could perceive. Why? A luminary scientist in the gallery spoke up. Because luminary thought processes are logic-based. We analyze data sequentially. Dr. Okonkwo's notes suggest she processed information simultaneously, integrating multiple data streams through what she called intuition. We have no equivalent cognitive framework. Veldar nodded. Exactly. And this pattern repeats across every field. Human tactical thinking integrates emotion and logic simultaneously, allowing them to predict enemy behavior through empathy. Human engineering combines mathematical precision with artistic innovation, creating solutions we never imagined. Human diplomacy balances competing interests through emotional intelligence we cannot replicate. He paused, letting the assembly absorb this information. For 400 years, we told ourselves we were accommodating human limitations. In truth, we were depending on human capabilities we never acknowledged and certainly never understood. Chancellor Tharn stared at the display showing the extent of human integration into Federation civilization. How did we not see this? Because they were humble, Veldar said quietly. They did not demand recognition. They simply worked. And we were arrogant. We assumed our technological advancement meant superiority in all things. We were wrong. Admiral HFY stood abruptly. This is all very educational, historian, but it does not solve our immediate crisis. The Crythian Empire is not interested in our historical blindness. They are conquering Federation worlds while we debate our past mistakes. There is worse news, Veldar said grimly. He changed the display to show deep space scan data. 3 days ago, long-range sensors detected anomalies at the edge of Federation space. The readings match historical records from 400 years ago. Records most of you have never seen because they were classified after the Crisis of Unity. What crisis? Demanded Tharn. I know of no such event. Because it was erased from public records. But the classified archives remember. Veldar pulled up ancient documents. 400 years ago, the Federation faced extinction. An ancient enemy called the Void Collective emerged from deep space. They consumed entire worlds, converted matter into their ships, and advanced through Federation space like a plague. The chamber went silent. We fought them for 3 years, Veldar continued. We lost 60% of Federation territory. Billions died. Our fleets were shattered. Then humans arrived. They had just achieved faster-than-light travel. They were primitives with crude weapons and basic technology. But they had something we lacked. What? Tharn whispered. Unpredictability. Creativity born of chaos. The Void Collective operates on perfect logic and mathematical precision. They could predict every Federation tactical decision because we operate the same way. But humans? Veldar smiled sadly. Humans made decisions that made no logical sense. They sacrificed when they should have retreated. They attacked when they should have defended. They combined tactics that should never work together. And somehow, impossibly, they won. He displayed battle records showing human vessels engaging Void Collective ships in ways that defied military doctrine. The Void Collective could not predict human behavior because humans themselves did not follow predictable patterns. After 5 years of brutal warfare, the Void Collective retreated into deep space. They have been silent ever since. Until now, Admiral HFY said, understanding dawning in her eyes. Until now, Veldar confirmed. The same anomalies that preceded their arrival 400 years ago are appearing again. And this time, we face them without the one species that defeated them before. Chancellor Tharn closed all 6 of his eyes. The magnitude of their mistake was beyond calculation. They had not just lost workers or advisors or contributors. They had lost the very people who made Federation survival possible. We must go to Earth, he said finally. We must beg them to return. They may refuse, Veldar warned. We treated them with contempt for 4 centuries. Why should they risk themselves for us again? Tharn stood slowly. His ceremonial robes suddenly felt impossibly heavy. Because if I understand anything about humans after studying this data, it is that they help those who need help. Even when those people do not deserve it. Even when those people have wronged them terribly. He looked around the chamber at the assembled representatives of 50 species. We do not deserve their aid. But we need it desperately. And perhaps, if we are honest about our failures, they will show us mercy we never showed them. The fastest ship in the Federation fleet was prepared for immediate departure. Chancellor Tharn, Admiral HFY, Veldar, and representatives from every species boarded it. Their destination was a small yellow star on the edge of what had once been Federation space. They were going to Sol System. They were going to Earth. They were going to face the people they had wronged and ask for forgiveness they had never earned. As the ship jumped to hyperspace, Tharn wondered what they would find. Would the humans welcome them? Would they laugh at Federation desperation? Would they refuse to help and watch the galaxy burn? He had no answers. He had only hoped that human mercy was as great as human capability. Because if it was not, the Federation had 3 months before the Void Collective arrived. And this time, there would be no one to save them. The ship raced toward Earth, carrying the fate of 50 species in its hull. Behind it, the Federation crumbled. Ahead lay uncertainty. And somewhere in the dark between the stars, the Void Collective advanced, patient and inexorable, toward civilizations that had forgotten how to fight chaos with chaos. The reckoning had begun.